So this is the official wanted season 9 tier list, guys. Everything here is true, no bullshit, and I am right and you're wrong. Bring the tank first. All right, Roadhog. I actually think Roadhog can actually be played. As long as you hit the hook, he still gets value. Yeah, he gets bullied from like damage, but if you're playing like Assassin Hog and you hook preemptively from the corners, he can actually work. So I think he's like C tier. Diva is S tier. She has so many options right now. One, her burst is insane. You go onto any like 250 HP target, they most likely will die. You do so much damage, and if you position yourself in between fights where you can peel for your support, your Zen or something, or peel for your DPS that is playing higher ground, your value is just so much. You are actually the jungler. All right, you're the jungler from League of Legends. You are the playmaker right now. I talked about it earlier. I think Reinhardt has a place in top 500, and I actually think he can kind of work. Wait, give me a sec. Let's put Hog in D. I think Ryan is C tier. I do think Ryan is in a better position than Hog. As long as you babysit your hit scan DPS and you kind of rush with the Lucio comp, we're going to talk about Lucio later. If you play Reinhardt as like this guy, you know, you're just pinning in, swinging your hammer, that's not going to work. It's not going to work in this season. But your impact, the pressure that you're going to apply on the enemy team is by walking your DPSs, helping your Zen get so much value with his like damage. You're the guy that is in charge of babysitting, and he's very good when it comes to babysitting with his shield and his just raw HP. Pause. Too many lines. Perfect. Too many lines. Better. This is way better, actually. I don't think any character is F tier. No character is unplayable. There's always going to be a character that is going to be playable if you are good enough. If you can't make the character work, skill gap. Winston, A+ tier. I don't think Winston is on the same level as Diva, specifically for the fact that like right now Zenyatta is the meta. He is good at creating space, but when it comes to Diva, it's the defensive matrix that separates the difference between Winston and Diva. Sure, Winston has a bubble, but Zen can still kick Winston out of the bubble and farm him. Diva, on the other hand, if you fly into Zen as Diva, right? Guess what's gonna happen? Matrix. Guess what, Zen? You're dead, dummy. Zarya. So Zarya's pretty interesting because I thought Zarya was actually going to have like more of an impact in this season, because whenever Diva is meta, Zarya is playable, but because of the pacing with like the HP and everything, it's harder for tanks to kill. Thank God. And Zarya, her like time to kill kind of got like ruined because it requires more right clicks and more damage for her to actually kill a squishy. She can work, but she's not that good. Would I put her at B+ or A? I think I'm gonna put her at B+ because I think she's literally at the middle of the pack right now for tanks. Orisa. I've heard a lot of people have been putting Orisa at like, you know, A tier or higher than Zarya, but I argued that they are on the same tier list. With the increase of projectile size for hit scan specifically, yeah, Orisa's not living. Sure, she can like fortify and spin to like get out and not die, but guess what's happening when she's doing that? She's behind a corner. She's not creating any space for her team. Her supports are probably getting shot by the Widow, Cassidy, getting flanked by Tracer. What is she doing? She's hiding behind a corner. That is not helping your team. HP buff for all the Overwatch characters, they like broke a lot of like breaking points for some of the meta heroes that were like good previously in season 8. So season 8 and season 9, they're completely different. Whatever you knew in season 8, totally different game. 100% different game now. Doomfist. I think Doomfist can work, but right now with the current meta being Zenyatta Discord, you have Lucio rushing around booping Doomfist. He can't really get a lot of value. He can kind of work if you're really, really good. You'll just have to like see what the enemy tank is running, but just know that the supports and DPS will probably kill you because of the buff on the projectile size. I think he can work as a C tier. C or D, don't play him. You can kind of make him work, but don't play him. Not good. Ball, I think he's S tier. Ball right now has so much HP. There are a few ways to actually counter him. As long as you like run a Cassidy Hinder with a Zen Discord, maybe a Lucio boop to boop him back, and maybe like more damage, yeah, he'll die maybe. But yeah, he just won't ever die. Since Ball requires a lot of mechanical skill, the majority of the people that play Ball, they're not gonna make him work. We all know little Timmy playing Ball right now is not setting up boops, getting 3-man boops off the map. He's not running around actually, you know, surviving. He's probably getting chased down because he's missing his grapple and he's like bumping into walls. Sigma. I think Sigma right now, he isn't as oppressive as season 8 because now that the HP for everyone got buffed, like his combo with his like left click, rock, left click, it's not going to kill anyone. I think he's A tier. He can still work. He has very good poke damage. He can still deter and pressure hit scan characters from like applying a lot of space. You put a shield in front of them, it's gonna be a little bit harder, but you can still kill him. I think Sigma's A tier. Ramatra and JQ, I actually think is probably the only like ground tank right now that is actually pretty decent. And the only reason why I believe this is true is because she's extremely strong against the meta tanks right now. The Diva, the Ball, the Winston. I have played a lot of Junker Queen. I hit GM1 as Junker Queen on multiple accounts now. I think I have some form of credibility when I talk about JQ. I think she is extremely strong against killing Winston, Diva, and Ball. You leave a knife in them and you just keep pumping damage into them. They will not be able to play the game. She is a sleeper pick. I actually will argue that she's A+, since everyone is not in top 500 and skill diff. I would say she's A tier. Ramatra, I don't think he is as strong as JQ, but I don't think he's as weak as Orisa and Zarya. I actually think he has a place right now. He's very good with the rush with the Lucio speed boost, and as long as you amp him when he's like in his ultimate, yeah, people will die. The reason why I would put him at A tier, if he didn't have a shield, 100% B+, maybe even B. But with that shield, it enables him to actually survive in the front line with all like the damage going on. You also forget that Vortex is extremely strong in the front line. Vortex is a very clutch ability if you aim it at a specific spot when the enemy team is trying to run away. It can help you close the gap and help your team do most of the damage. I think that's all for oh no. Yeah, enough said. Big hitbox, easy to shoot, too much damage. Yeah, just a bad hero. All right, DPS, because I love DPS. Cassidy, S tier, but he's actually not that bad. I might actually save him for last because I think right now Cassidy is a very sleeper pick where a lot of people don't respect a Cassidy that knows how to aim. If you can aim as Cassidy right now, he is low-key S tier. I'm not even joking. I'll save it for later. Bastion, I don't know why people are saying he's decent. I think Bastion is like literally one of the biggest throw picks right now. I'm thinking of either C or D. In top 500, he's a D. Like, he's not playable. Like, he's free. But probably for everyone's sake, he's probably C tier. Like, I personally would not run him. I don't want you guys to run him. He's not good. Soldier 76 is just a better Bastion. Get that into your head. All right, Bastion one tricks. Soldier 76 is a better Bastion. Stop playing Bastion. Soldier is A+, could be even S tier, but he is the most versatile DPS right now. I mean, I would even argue to put him S tier, but he's not as busted as these two characters and Zen. I do think he's like the best hit scan in terms of flank potential, your ability to dish out damage. He has great burst with his giant nuke sized helix rocket now. He still has a lot of self-sustain. Soldier visor is good as long as the conditions are being met. It's viable. Not a bad hero. Genji, I've been seeing a lot of people put him at a very, very high tier. Like, I think I saw some with like S tier. I don't think Genji's that strong. I would either put him B+ or A. But at the same time, like, it really depends. There are some Genji players that are just too scared. If you are a Genji player and your playstyle is to just dash in, right click, and deflect, you're golden. That is exactly what you're supposed to do right now. If you play poke Genji and just wait for your blade, you're doing nothing. Don't play him if you're doing that. Hanzo, I think he has more value than the Bastion because of the sonar. I think sonar actually provides very useful information. Yeah, it doesn't really deal damage, but it's info. Like, info is always going to be strong. So I would put him at B tier. He can't one-shot, but he still applies pressure with the sonar arrow. And if you have like a really strong hit scan player with you, you are aiding him. You're helping him to get these easy headshots. There is some form of viability. Junkrat, he is bad. I think he's the only DPS right now which I actually consider unviable and should not be played. If you play Junkrat, you're throwing. The HP buff killed this character, and thank God, because Junkrat. Mei. So surprisingly, Mei doesn't get played a lot anymore in season 9. I have seen some, but I just don't see Mei's anymore at all. Primarily because the meta tanks. Because the reason why she's really good before in season 8 was because the meta tanks were like ground tanks. They weren't the ones that were flying around like Diva, Ball, and you know, Winston. They were the ones that were like JQ, Ramatra, Sigma. That's when you play Mei. And because of that, she falls off. So I'd put her at B tier. I think she is slightly above Hanzo strictly because whenever they do have these characters, these 5, Mei is still golden, still very strong. Pharah, very interesting hero. I actually thought Pharah was going to be an ass because, like, hey, she's not in the air anymore, right? She's on the ground. Ha ha. should be easier to kill. No, apparently not. Pharahs are usually playing very ratty now, almost like Junkrat, and they have to like play kind of floaty, like near the floor. I'd say she's in the same tier as Mei and Hanzo. They're like niche characters right now that can kind of work, but kind of not, depending on like the enemy composition. It's very niche, extremely niche. Reaper. What do you guys think about Reaper? S tier? I've been hearing a lot of talks about Reaper, about how Reaper is very strong. You know, the Reapers in my games are constantly dead. Like, Reaper struggles really hard to kill DPS hitscan characters mid-range. I actually think Reaper is a pretty good character against D.Va and Winston. Just the sheer threat of him doing that much damage gives him like some form of viability. I will put him at B. Reaper is still more viable than Bastion and Junkrat. You cannot deny that. Wraith is still useful. Going in and getting out with Reaper is still very useful. Symmetra. She's so niche. Like, in some cases she can work, but in other cases she is a throw pick. She doesn't have like consistent damage, but she has good spam, and during like specific like niche maps, if you're like bunkering, she can still work. So with that, I'm putting her also in B tier. Torb. Yeah, I don't know why people are saying he's like really good, but I can kind of see the perspective. If you like play hit scan and you can't hit him like consistently, I can see him being very, very strong because he has 400 HP when he presses the E button. So I think I might actually put him at B+. He's definitely more viable strictly because of his HP. Widowmaker. Widow is A+. Right now, it is extremely easy to hit headshots as Widow. I don't want to say extremely easy. It still requires skill, but the threat of getting one-tapped by anyone in the game is insanely annoying. If you're a god gamer, Widowmaker, hey, keep clicking, man. Sombra. So I've been seeing a lot of Sombra being S tier. I would not put Sombra S tier. I am always making sure if she comes out, I am shooting her. And since right now Cassidy is a lot easier to hit, you're kind of like always capable of making sure she doesn't like get too much value. She's annoying, but she's not OP. I think she's A+. She still provides a lot of pressure. So we're gonna talk about that again. Widow is very strong right now, in my opinion. And if a Sombra is in the game, at least the Widowmaker can't like peek for free, right? She's gonna be schizo. She's gonna be like, oh snap, where's the Sombra? I gotta make sure I'm alive. You know, I gotta make sure like I'm in a good position. I gotta make sure I'm not frontlining too hard. I gotta make sure I'm in a safe spot. That pressure plus the hack on tanks, very strong. She's very versatile right now. Ashe, very interesting hero right now because a lot of people are saying she's the most busted hit scan, which I highly disagree. Sure, her bullet size is bigger, but guess what? It's also easier to hit her. She feels like a 200 HP target because her hitbox is huge. That is the sole reason why I don't think she's that good. Her head hitbox is huge. I am going to put her at A tier because of the fact that Soldier is more versatile and it's hard to hit Soldier. What's next? Sojourn. I actually think she's the worst DPS right now for a hit scan. Her only threat right now for Sojourn is her railgun. And as long as you challenge Sojourn as a DPS when she doesn't have railgun, she's so weak. Like her kill threat on you is very low. If she slides away, this also gives time for, let's say, Ashe, Cass, Soldier to apply pressure on your tank or on the enemy tank, right? The time spent away from a team fight is so important right now because DPS just does so much. There's just so much damage also with the addition of Zen Orb. If you are not in the fight dealing damage, you're kind of throwing because that's the meta right now, just damage. If she doesn't have her ultimate, she's very, very free. I think she's B+, but the top of B+. Echo. So Echo is really bad now because of the projectile size change for all the hitscan characters. It's a lot easier to hit her. Like, if you're playing Echo, you're probably not in the sky anymore or as much. The only like saving grace for Echo right now is her copy. If you can copy the D.Va and get like a really clutch matrix / dive on like the Zen with your D.Va or your ball, perfect. You're playing Echo literally picture perfect. But if you don't have that like ultimate ready, she is really hard to secure kills because, again, HP. So I'm gonna put her at B+. I do think Torb is better than Echo as well. Tracer. I've been seeing a lot of S tiers for Tracer, but I think she's A+. And the reason why I think she's A+ is because I'm a Cassidy main. All right, so I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna explain why. I think this is actually the perfect setup for the DPS as an A+. Tracer is extremely good at killing Zen. I get that. But the moment you add a Cassidy into the game, do you know how hard it is for a Tracer right now when there's a Cassidy in the game? It's not biased, guys. If you hit your shots, Tracer is free. The moment she still takes one shot, she has to run away. She is also still capable of dying to a headshot body shot from Cass. And Cass has 50 more HP than Tracer from like the HP buff. Yeah, Cassidy can do 2-tap Tracer. Hinder also hard counters Tracer. Cassidy right now is extremely good if you frontline with him. He is extremely good if you just Ferrari peek people past corners and you just deal consistent damage. He's also very good at matching ball and also is very good at killing Winston. And he does a lot of damage. Like, if you can hit your headshots with Kaz, he is a huge threat in the game. Huge threat. Like I said, he's also very good at dueling against Sojourn right now. He's very good. If you and Sojourn are playing, let's say like 20 meters, that's like close range, and she doesn't have rail, if you are losing that 1v1, that's a skill gap. You have so much HP, you're not dying. And for Cass against Ashe, what I've noticed is whenever Ashe scopes in, hey man, your bullet is bigger now too. Ashe's head hitbox is huge. It's free. The headshots are free. And then Sombra, Hinder counters Sombra too. Sombra is always being played because it's ball and diva. And Sombra is always being played because of Zenyatta being S tier as well. You see why Cassidy right now is very strong, because he's actually countering the meta heroes right now. He's very good against the meta heroes, except for Diva. Diva is probably the only character right now where I think Cassidy has a really hard time with. Like, the only hero. Like, Tracer, whatever, Sombra, whatever. Widow, I guess, just respect like the distance and go after her when you're like closer to her. Soldier does have an advantage at long range, but the moment you're close range, you're chilling, you're golden. I would have argued that Junker Queen was like the best like frontline brawler. Cass is by far right now the best brawler right now. Like, no contest. Like, he has so much HP. His damage is absurd now because of like the bullet size. So you're like constantly dishing out damage. I'm being serious right now. I'm not even joking. He is A+. I think Cass is actually better than Ashe. He's slightly weaker than Soldier, more versatile than Widow, and hard counters Sombra and Tracer in this meta. So which is why I think he belongs in that spot. 100% belongs in that spot. To the supports, Mercy's D tier. I think she's probably like the worst support character right now in this game. The reason why her viability is like a lot worse now is because of the fact that damage boost doesn't actually help hit scans anymore. In my opinion, my kills, there would have been no difference if I was getting pocketed or not with damage boost. No difference. If they give her different abilities to make her more viable again, where like she can still be like the pocket hero, but just make her stronger. Maybe, I don't know, increase attack speed or fire rate. That would be actually very, very good for her. Ana. So Ana, I think, fell off the meta because of the fact that like healing is not like the meta. Like, you shouldn't really be healing most of the time. You should be focusing on getting kills with your DPSs in your tank as a support. Like, Zenyatta Discord, you're already helping the tanks and DPSs because of the Discord. Plus, you're dealing damage. Lucio, I'm gonna put Lucio above Zen. I think Lucio's speed right now is the most useful thing in this game. Plus the healing aura. If I take damage and I have like a second DPS right next to me and Lucio's right next to us, I'll take the 20% healing reduction. But my boy Soldier is still chilling. He didn't get hit. And that's why Lucio is so good right now. Like, JQ with the Lucio speed right now is broken. It's just two abilities. And we're not even talking about Lucio's boob. We're not talking about his damage. We're not talking about Junker Queen's knife, her overall damage, and pretty much she counters Ball, Devo, and Winston. We're just talking about the speed. The two speed abilities are so oppressive if timed right with your team. So that's why like I wanted to wait a little bit for Junker Queen, because I'm pretty sure most people probably are watching this video and they're like, why is Junker Queen at, you know, A+? The moment you combine Lucio into the equation, she is so good. Okay, yeah, Ana, she kind of fell off, but I think the only saving grace for her right now is the anti-nade. If you want to replace the Zenyatta for an Ana, 100% it's a viable option. I think Lucio is by far the best hero to run. But Ana, the only useful thing about her is the anti-nade. Sleep isn't like as useful anymore, and I guess like Sleep Thrower can be very impactful if you hit it, but I'm talking about like consistency, right? I would either put Ana at like A tier or B tier, or B+, sorry. She can still work. Like, it's a character that requires a lot of skill. You can't be looking to just heal your team and expect to win. Moira, I don't think she's as strong as what people say, you know, you TikTok Moiras and your right clicks. I don't think she's that strong. I would say she has a use case. There is a reason to play her, which is extremely important. There wasn't a reason last season because the heal bots like Mercy and Life Weaver were better. And Moira is also a heal bot. If you play her correctly, she is still a heal bot. Moira right now is very useful because she can survive a dive or a rush. And it doesn't really require a lot of like effort to play her really well, which is also why I would put her above Ana. I actually think she's A tier. Brig is like a niche pick, just like Moira right now, where depending on how well the enemy team is performing, I'd say like Brig is right next to like Moira. I do think Moira is easier to play. Her rally is still extremely useful. It will set plays up for your team. You get so much HP from rally as well. I think it's overhealing too. So that's why I think Brig is slightly still better than Ana. Baptiste. I think Baptiste definitely isn't as strong as like season 8 Baptiste, but I do think he still has like a place. Ball is extremely good against Bap. Diva is also very good against Bap. JQ is insanely good against Bap. You just pull him, man. And the knife is huge now. I would put him in A. And the reason why is because of this survivability. Zen is also a better DPS right now as like a support. He does way more damage than you, buddy. So I'm putting him at A. I actually think Moira is better. He definitely has more damage and like a place because of his ultimate too. Like hit scan is very good. You pop that Baptiste ult, hit scans are going to have a field day shooting through that. He's not any higher because of his survivability. I think Baptiste right now struggles with living. And if you're dying, you're not doing anything. And for Kiriko, I think Kiriko is A+. I actually think Kiriko is low-key really good. Cleanse is extremely good still. A good cleanse is broke. I think cleanse is the most OP ability in the game, and if you have a good cleanse, you can carry. Life Weaver, I think he is also dead. Life Weaver, in terms of viability, the only reason why you should be running him is strictly for the grip, but it's not really that useful because it doesn't matter if you live right now because it's just so much damage. If you use that cooldown, they still have so much damage to kill you. I'd say like the only reason to pick him is if you don't want to play Moira, because like they're both heal bots. That's how I view Moira and Life Weaver. When you're like actually playing the game properly, they're heal bots. You know, Moira actually lives during dives, and Life Weaver is a little bit more difficult. He can still live if you are very good with your movement, but it's gonna make it a lot harder. But remember, C and D, don't play them. They're both these tiers are terrible. Don't play them. Illari. I've seen some tier lists that put Illari really low, and I don't think she's that low. I think she's like a skill-based hero, like very skill-based. Like if you can hit headshots, you can still duel the DPSs. I don't think she's extremely bad. Like she's not trash like C or D. I do think she's on the same level as Ana though. If they have ball, Illari's boop is very good at turning his like rollout, and your team can just focus fire him after. This is a pretty solid tier list, not gonna lie, man. What do you guys think? YouTube frogs, Twitch frogs, what do you guys think? If you guys think differently, hey, let's do it.